redeployment game where Emerald's saying, well, can you follow me faster than I can go anywhere else?
And this is, I mean, as a aggressive force, you always want to have more connections to the enemy than they do to you.
Oh, this is brutal though. You got Sunders on the spawn rooms.
Doubly or triply for Emerald. If you allow Emerald to have more connections to you than they did when they started, you're in for a bad time. They love that. They love, where some people might get a little discouraged about not taking the base at the last second. It does not seem like Emerald seems to feed off of that. They'll hop to another base.
Yeah, we'll just go to the next base, get that one, then we'll come back on 2 minutes and then grab this one. So I mean, yeah, it's constant pressure.
Big max push. Too late.
I mean, they play into the redeployment side. I mean, I know there's been a lot of talk about, Vex Biologics, half platoon's going for that. That's kind of interesting. So yeah, they definitely play into the redeployment side of the game. Where, I mean, how would you like to see a phase 2? I mean, maybe having some sort of kind of resource or fuel supply. Like, remember Ants from Planetside 1? So only so many people can redeploy to a certain base before it prevents you, or something like that. Because there's a lot of debate on whether that's good or bad. But redeployment side, especially in ServerSmash, is where it's at. Is who can do it best wins.
And I think, you said it best when you said, the reason why some of these bases we were fighting on was a strategic error, but then the bases are being lost as a tactical error. This is not... a lot of times we see servers point the finger at a single person. Oh, our force commander screwed up. Our air screwed up. This one group of people screwed up. That's not how you lose server smashes. You have to have lots of things go wrong at lots of different levels. If you just mess up on one, chances are you're not going to...
Goku's turned up with a large force at Vex Biologics at squad waypoint. Awful Pit is still messily going back and forth, as is No Marsh, and Head Skydock has an infiltrator there with no defenders to stop, so that's probably going to start ticking the other way. But I'm going to watch Goku now at Vex Biologics, because they've got quite a few force multipliers, quite a few Sunders. It's a construction site, essentially. It's a construction site-esque capture point with a number of the doors actually blocked off. So it totally favours people who can abuse it and get vehicles on the inside, which they've done.
Oh god. And that's a Cobalt Fury Sunder. Anything that comes in there, he has something to deal with.
Now, this is going to be tricky, but with a minute 50 to go, they do have air presence, they've got galaxies, so... Probably what I would do if I was Briggs is I would get my own Sundra. If you could get, or even just a harasser with Marauder, right? And if you can get that thing on the doorway, you can counter spam.
Yeah, and they're finally at the big doors. You can't push into these from the small doors. I mean, you can just see how terribly farmed you are from the top. And Briggs knows that they finally managed to push around to the back. They don't have any force multipliers. I don't even see that many heavies trying to rocket pod that thing right now.
See, yeah, from what I'm seeing is the danger is that empty bases like Vex Biologics that allow the attacking force to get set up on the capture point. By the time that Emerald gets set on the capture point, it's already too late. You've got to essentially always be fighting on all lanes at all times, or watching the bases. Or if you, let's say Vex Biologics and bunker J993, if you're at J993 and you see the cap going at Vex Biologics, or there's nobody there, or you can't flip it, then there's a problem. Because you simply can't allow the attackers time to drive in. Because getting these Sunders on the capture point, that's not easy. That takes time to drive there. That gets time to set up. And we see this is turning into a 96 plus fight now. But they have all this kind of firepower on the capture point, making it extremely difficult for infantry to get in. Or there was a harasser, but he just got totally nuked.
That Cobalt Fury Sunder will just deal with anything. The only thing it has a weakness to is air, and it's inside a building. It doesn't care about air.
I mean, yeah, and the problem is that the doorways are blocked off. A lot of them are, so getting in is horrendously difficult. And do you have the 9-at resources to come in and drop 300, 400, 500 nanites on a non-guaranteed kill in a Sundra?
2 seconds. And absolutely your star of this show for Goku was whoever was driving and gunning the Sunder here. I can't imagine what their KD was. This also is, just as a small point here. Can you really count infantry KD when you have people farming with a Cobalt Sunder and a point when people are pushing through a tiny door? What's that guy's KD? Coming.
That was a spawn room contain. They didn't even take down the SU generator, they just contained the spawn room.
Oh, jeez. I didn't get here in time for it to load in.
Well, this is getting painful now. We're getting 63%. They're getting close. They're going to try and either match the record or break it. Oh, Genesis terraforming is down to 3 minutes 20.
So they have been cut off. Emerald managed to get the awful pit. Means they've cut off the entire Namam station side for Briggs.
See, what I would like to see is that in alerts, cutting off territory not only prevents redeployment to said bases, but also means that territory that's cut off doesn't count towards the territory. Now, that's not the case today because we don't have that facility in place, but that's something I'd maybe like to see. It adds that tactical element because that would make Awful Pit probably one of the most valuable bases in the game right now because it offers a link to 5 extra territories. Okay, so Briggs is attacking Structure Beta, but how are they attacking it?
Managed to come back with air. This is a large galaxy force at Genesis terraforming, trying to take this back. They do have the advantage here of, I believe, of the way that they're attacking into it.
Oh,
yeah, they have the sea point area.
Well, falling in tradition of Construction Site Beta, it is another ghost cap. This time by Briggs. Although I do see an NC kind of population in, so maybe they'll spawn people in and make a save rather than giving it away for free.
So Genesis terraforming was saved by a large force from Briggs. Nam Marsh Compound is a very small force. Looks like the large force back over at Edgewater. I think I'm going to head back over there. I remember saying at the beginning of this match how important the middle was, and I just can't help but look at this map and see how terribly, terribly the middle went for Briggs. I mean, that's where everything is gone. They've kind of gone back and forth a couple of bases from the neutrals in the center line, east and west, but everything. There's just 2 tendrils straight through them in the middle.
Yep. Well, that's Genesis terraforming, as you said, taking down. I'm looking around. There's a small fight going up Mulak Foundry. I don't really know why they're going for the amp station. Oh, they are attacking Moss Ridge. Let's go check.
Finally, perhaps learned their lesson about Sunders. I'm trying to let everything load in here. They have 4 Sunders at the point of at Edgewater Overlook. They can't deploy them as attack, or can they deploy one as an attacker? Yes, they can. There you go. So they have a repair Sunder deployed outside the 8 point. They have other Sunders as guardians or just maybe other defenders here. Emerald had some well-placed heavy assaults with some rockets trying to take out these Sunders.
Well, at Moss Ridge Command Center, I got here too late to tell how it really went on, but the fact is, Briggs came in, had the point, I think with only infantry, and Emerald came up with a Battle Sunder, and then just kind of overpopped them, pushed them off. Vex Biologics is ticking down. Oh, that's interesting, so I'll go check that out now.
Miller NC has managed to bring in some Raven Maxes to try
Miller's not fighting today.
Miller. Emerald. I don't know why I just said Miller. Maybe because you only play NC. But the NC have managed to bring in some Raven Maxes and are just absolutely mowing through some of these Sunders here. They certainly seem to understand what needs to go first. They're not so much worried about the point. If they take out those spawn Sunders, which they just did, they know that they will be able to leisurely scroll onto that point. And now it's down to what wins, change guns or shotguns on the point.
Oh, the next big fight is currently at Bunker J993. Briggs is trying to take it back.
Briggs has a very nice little point hold going on here at Edgewater, but I sense a massive human wave coming from Emerald. They're already driving their Sunder right up to the point.
Speaking of human waves, they just human waved into Bunker. They just mega push the capture point at Bunker.
And Emerald has deployed a Sunder right next to the A point, spawning people out, just chucking grenades in. Only a few moments till they get this back here.
Did Briggs at any time have a Sunder deployed on the capture point at Edgewater?
Yes, they did. They actually had 4 of them there, but unfortunately...
Right next to the capture point, like right on A.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting.
And Emerald came in with some Raven and Falcon Maxes, and...
well, there you go. Yeah, that would work.
So unfortunately, that was the best push I've seen from Briggs using force multipliers there. And unfortunately, they were on the wrong side. Perhaps if they had parked on the other side, they would be a little bit more safe.
They're trying to take the biolab back, which is interesting. And oh my goodness. So that construction site basic flip that they got awful pit off of, now you've got infiltrators pushing Kessel's Crossing and Nom Ravine Overpass.
Yes, both of them. And in fact, Nom Ravine Overpass is a complete ghost cap. Not a soul is there right now.
Yeah. And it just... The fact is that I don't know how the force composition are dictating control of this, but whoever's platoon commander or in control of these areas needs to realize I need 2 people, Alpha 10, Alpha 11, off you go, save the base. Because
I think that it's probably worth it on Hossin. Oh, the SEU is destroyed at a Con Biolab. And I'm trying to see how much Emerald managed to get in here. They got probably 2 squads. They're going straight for the SCU. They did manage to clear it off.
But they've got population. Oh man, this is actually, if Briggs realized this, you're right.
That was very close. I didn't see how many people they had pushed in. It is enough. They're repairing up the SCU, and they will get this back.
Remember, was it on Indar when was it Briggs versus Miller? The biolab went down. The SCU went down like 3 or 4 times. The SCU actually died, but they were able to pull it back. And finally, on the 4th attempt, they failed. So I mean, so I think they got enough population in, and ultimately you could put like a safety net sunderer in the vehicle bay.
Bunker J99 is where I'm headed back again. It looks like that's
the Briggs re-sent people back to bunker, and it's ticking down again.
That's good. That's what they have to start doing. That they have to start being tenacious about that kind of stuff.
They've sent about
on Hossin, as far as force allocation, you have to have at least 12 people, a bare minimum 12 people, who are not part of a platoon structure, who are not dedicated to a lane. And those guys are just your ghost cap. They're either, if you're doing well like Emerald, they're the ones who are moving forward and getting bases when nobody else is there. And if you're doing, on your back foot, then they're the people who are going and stopping that crap from happening.
Yeah, the thing is, if you look at the map briefly, you see Kessel's Crossing and Nom Ravine Overpass have been saved by Briggs, but by 12 people on each base. That's half a platoon for 2 people, right? And therein lies, that's a waste. Far too people. You can send 1 or 2 right away. If they instantly start ticking down, because you'll be paying attention to this stuff, you send 1 or 2 people right away. If they can't deal with it, then you send the 12 people. But that'll be within about the 2.5 minute marker. So
there's so many ways to do that. As a platoon leader, you can say, "Hey, these 2 people, that's your job," and then they report back to you. As a force lead, you can say,
or
people to go do that.
If awful pit's flipped and it's empty and there's nothing going on those bases, you have to assume that they will go for Nom Ravine Overpass and Kessel's Crossing. So have your own kind of infiltrating force go to awful pit and just be a nuisance and make that tick down so that your bases in part don't get affected. I'm going to go to bunker now as well and come join you.
I'm here right now, and there is not enough of an Emerald push at the moment to make this. There's probably a squad attempting to just kind of be a nuisance and get on the point. Briggs has a very nice point hold set up. They are doing the same thing, standing on the balcony, going into the little covered area, and just stopping them from even pushing out. 40 seconds, great EMPs, great grenades. It's going to take a lot for Emerald to manage to get over there. They are pushing out through the cover area. Just not enough force multipliers, not enough maxes. If somebody can get oh, I see a Sunder. I'm going to follow this guy, see where he's going, if he can get up somewhere. No,
there's too much. Briggs is really committing to this base.
Last push here from Emerald. They managed to clear a lot of people off that balcony.
Yeah, but all that Briggs did was fall back to the capture point. Wow, here comes the human wave. A little bit late, but it's here.
The death of my frames and terrible smoke. I hope you enjoyed the light show, because you can't say anything, guys.
You could always risk it, go out as infiltrator, and use the thermal on the crossbow. But that's how you die.
We're playing as Vanu, and this is NC&T.
Yes, so you just go stealth. You'll be fine. Trust me.
So that is a really good pickup for Briggs, especially because it
cuts. Oh, and they've already got Moss Ridge. I tell you what, this entire tier force. See at Moss Ridge, if they can get like a spawn sunder set up, I would just tell my entire tier force that's probably not max. It's just to redeploy and get in, to Monsters Command Center, because at Monsters Command Center, it's a ghost cap. I mean, there's barely anybody here. Okay, so it's mainly a kind of timing thing, but what would be nice is where, you know, so the north side of Monsters Command, the upper level, you can drive Sunders up the staircases. That's how people get, you know, Sunders on the cap point. If you could get Sunders on the back end so that people could spawn in, then the run to the capture point is actually probably shorter than the actual spawn room. Pull that off, and then that allows you to redeploy huge amounts of forces in quick moment of time.
Here at Vex Biologics, there are 2 squads of TR, and unfortunately it looks like there's that much or more of NC who are managing to push back in. There are some Briggs TR who are coming back, but the NC have already managed to get one of the balconies back, and they can be the patient ones. You know, they managed to flip the point back here as well. Briggs really needed to hack that vehicle terminal and use, you know, these guys just faced how terrifying that Sunder was on the point. That's what Briggs need to do. They need to put 2 Sunders on here. And this is almost live server tactics here from Briggs. You know, look at this, 96 plus heading to Vex. They need to get the point back.
Well, I'm currently looking at the map.
Massive error from Briggs. I think that they've just decided to say, you know what, we're going to group up together and we're going to take as much territory as we can with this group.
One at a time. The thing is, they're paying for it because they don't have anyone at non-marsh compound. The Kessels is ticking down again for the 3rd time. Although Briggs is offensively attacking Awful Pit, which is good. Hades Skydock needs to be saved soon rather than later because it's in 55%. And Last Hold is also, you probably want to check that one out, Squad Waypoint.
I'm also going back to J9 Bunker because the Emerald just went right back to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to have seen progressive play because obviously they made a big play for the bunker and then they made presumably by these numbers, a very big play for Vex Biologics. And I suppose the timers are too close for Vex and bunker, so they need to send at least something like 76% overpop. You don't need that much. Some of that can go.
A galaxy of people back at bunker.
Yeah, but they're going to lose Last Hold though. We're looking at Last Hold and they're actually camping the spawn room. Population numbers are 51 to 48 and they're being capped in the spawn room. Good Sunder setup. Alright, so Briggs did get a Sunder deployed outside the capture zone, allowing them options in. Emerald is wise to this. The instant it happened and already moving to kill it, moving out the capture building instantly.
Will you truly allow yourself to lose?
Fairly certain Emerald's going to get Last Hold here. I don't think Briggs is really... Alright, they're slightly at pop 10. I mean slightly by 52 to 46. And they're losing mainly the 50-50 fights. It's kind of hard to say. There you go. Emerald gets Last Hold again. So,
backs again.
Yeah, I mean, they're fighting on this lane. And Awful Pit is slowly... That's probably the next base to be looked at. It's to be seen whether or not Briggs can get it. Because when Emerald attacks the base, it normally goes through. I want to see what kind of force multipliers Briggs has bought to this capture point. And the answer is, yep, they did bring a Battle Sunder with Gate Diffuse, so that's something. And they do have some round... Oh, but they're surrounded on all sides here. We can also see squad beacons on NC moving in at the squad waypoint. It's a horrendous base to try and defend, and they've already got a max in the cap point. And they weren't blocking the doors. Like if you want to bring like Sunders into here, block the doors with Sunders so they can't actually get into the capture point.
Yeah, and interestingly, I'm at Vex Biologics, and it looks like they're holding this point right now. I don't see that. I don't see enough NC coming in to take this back. But no Sunder, no force multiplier on the point, and you know that this is the same TR platoon that faced that Sunder before. I'm just stunned that there's no harasser up here, that there's no Sunder up here. There's not even any maxes. This is all infantry, all TR infantry.
So, want to hear something else interesting? Kessel's Crossing is a ghost cap. There's no defenders. There is no NC defender at Kessel Crossing, and it's going to be captured in 20 seconds. This is the second time this is going to happen, and I'm watching this.
And they're there, but they're not going to be in time.
Well, maybe there's a galaxy flying overhead and they're dropping, so they've got enough time to run into the point if they get here right away. But they really need to run on the point. There you go. Finally. But this is a 4-minute base save. Right? So the fact is, the Emerald Forces Awful Pit could hypothetically go to Kessel's again and tick it back the other way.
And again, with this infantry-only stuff, the NC have managed to... Oh, no, okay. So I was going to say they cleared off one balcony at Vex, but they didn't manage to get the point back. And I see this with multiple servers. This is not a single server thing, but I see...
Oh, Battle Thunder outside. You see it?
Oh, yeah, an NC Battle Thunder affects Biologic. See?
Yeah. Doing exactly what I said, and then they push into the doorway. Are they going to make it to the cap point? Everyone's dead on the cap point as far as TR is concerned. NC's running on the point, he's flipping it, and they're there. Wow. That was close. The fact is...
If you play infantry only against a group of players who do not play infantry only, who bring in force multipliers, who bring in sunderers and maxes and everything that they possibly can to get on the point, you will lose. It's that simple. Period. End of discussion. I mean,
oh, while we were talking, Ixtab War Purification also got captured by a platoon plus of... So they're at 67. I believe the record is 68.
I'd have to look at it.
And look, Kessel's, just as I was saying at Kessel's Crossing, the defending TR left after the point, and then 2 squads came in, and then what can you do with 60 seconds to go? They come in with a Valkyrie, and they're on the capture point. What can you do when you don't stay and defend? Or maybe they were here and defending, but they just got pushed off. But 2 squads have turned up, 60 seconds to go, and this base is now going to flip. And this is all down to these harassment infiltrators. Small guys who just be extremely annoying, take a base down to halfway, and then deal with it.
There it goes.
So that's 68. This is now a joint record with 34 minutes to go. So as far as Emerald's concerned, it's perfect time if they want to break a new record. If they want to break that 70% ceiling, now's the time to do it. And they've got 73% population with about half platoon at Nom Amp Station. They're trying to attack Nom Barracks. What else? Vex Biologics they made a save on. And in the south, we can see small attacking Briggs forces, like a squad possibly at Hydroponics and a little bit more at Mulek Pass. That might be interesting.
Just thought I'd chip in, guys. Little fact, if NC get 2 more bases, they will break the current record.
No, the current record is 68%, which is right now. No one's broken 70% though.
No, it's 69.
It's 69.
Oh!
Yeah, actually,
that's 69.
Yeah, if you go look at the document, I can't do it right now because I'm streaming stuff, but if you wanted to look at the document...
I stand corrected then.
So while we have a little bit of lull here, I'm going to take a look at some of the stats.
Refresh it while you do that.
Okay.
I think it's fairly safe to assume that Briggs' unbroken streak is going to come to an end here, which, by the way, is a long unbroken streak. It's like 7 wins or something, isn't it?
Yes. So, all right, looking at the kill streaks here, it was very back and forth between Briggs and Emerald, and that has since changed. It is definitely crawling away. We're about 1,000 kills different now, NC above TR. Players, though, it's 6 TR players up at the top, although the top player is an NC player with 168. As far as outfits, it's still TIW and Bax in the lead, and then Briggs Air Machine and whoever LOOL is. Weapons, Anchor still at the top, and then the Carve and the MSWR kind of sharing position there for the TR. And the Mosquitoes are slightly ahead of the Reavers in kills when it comes to it, about 1,138 to 952.
Look at the bring up the map timeline for a second, as I'm currently looking at Mulek Pass with 30 seconds to go. We might want to watch this capture first, and then we'll talk about the timeline.
Okay. You have the marker there?
There, up. Oh, this is bad. The infantry here's at the last moment. 10 seconds to go. I think Emerald is going to make the save. Yeah, there's not enough reserves of Briggs on the capture point. Okay, so if you look at the map timeline, something that is consistently I'm seeing in the timeline, right, is in the beginning when the neutral territories kick off, Emerald gets the better start. You can see up to about the 115 marker on the timeline, they get the better start and they get the most territory. And then it stabilizes. And it progresses to go along to the 127 marker, and then all of a sudden Emerald jumps up in bases, it stabilizes again, and then all of a sudden it jumps again. So you can see that Emerald takes a whole bunch of territory, and then the map stabilizes by Briggs going back and forth, getting some of them, maybe reacting to it, being able to pull off some saves, and then Emerald reaffirms themselves and then just applies pressure again. And you can see there's 3 separate sections where Emerald applies pressure and then just gets a whole raft of bases, and they're so close to breaking the record with half an hour to go.
And I think from Briggs' standpoint, there's nowhere really good to make a stand. They don't have. This is the issue with Hossin when you're down. There aren't those bases to fall back to. There isn't.
Well, you've already lost them.
Left in the match.
There are technically bases to fall back on. Hatcher Air Station was a base to fall back. The Biolab was a base to fall back. Nom Amp Station, but it's going to be cut off now, is a base to fall back on. Like Genesis Terraforming Plant, they took that's great. Bravata PMC, they've got that's great. Those are bases that you can fall back on. But Hossin, as we said, is unique because you can bypass the large bases and go to small outposts from Warp Gate to Warp Gate. But the fact is, they lost the large outposts that you consider red lines that you fall back to very early on.
Oh man. So Vex Biologics, which was a very large secure from Briggs, they tried sending 96 plus there, is completely resecured now for Emerald. Emerald is pushing on Nom Amp Station with a huge force. I'm about to head over there. And there's again that small, probably the same infiltrator at Shack Fusion Lab that I would be willing to bet good money that the same infiltrator or the same group of people captured construction site beta.
Okay, so TR is back at Vex Biologics. They're back here. There are no NC defenders. So key point here for everyone in the stream, right? There are no defenders at Vex Biologics. You now have 1 to 2 minutes to set up this attack, okay? What do? I think that over on the west side, there's a staircase here on the east side of the base that you can drive Sunders up. Pull Sunders from construction site Gamma, battle Sunders, Furies, Bulldogs, that type of stuff. Drive up the staircase to the east, get it on the capture point, get inside the capture building, and do exactly what you saw happen that Emerald did. You've seen the tactics in play.
I'm confused. Hang on 1 second. The SCU is destroyed at Nom Amp Station right now, and there's still 5 minutes to go. Is it a hybrid?
They keep changing stuff.
Hybrid. It's a hybrid. That's what it is. That's how the SCU is destroyed. Wow.
Well, they were mega outpopped though. Let's be clear here. The capture point was being saved, but that's because the shields were up. There was huge population by NC on the outset, and they're clearly going just for the SU generator. And with 96% plus, they're basically gobbling the last territory. I mean, these bases, Nom and their substations, that will guarantee the 7% cap population. They tried going for the warp gate, that didn't happen. Now they're just going to go for a new record. And
so
look,
the SCU is repaired here at Nom Amp Station. That is the one benefit. It's very hard to keep it down.
But this is indicative of what we're talking about. This is absolutely like an analogy of this entire ServerSmash. I'm looking at Vex Biologics. It's a small attacking force, right? Attacking the Goku base of Vex Biologics. And they haven't brought anything to fight on the capture point. They know exactly what the enemy is going to do. The enemy's going to redeploy in with a whole bunch of infantry. And what do? You have to use things like Sunders to pick off. And maybe I sound like a broken record here, repeating myself, but it's what you do to take the base, and they're not doing it, and it just frustrates me.
And the thing is that that Briggs is starved for resources now.
200 nanites for a bus?
No, and that's the thing. They're managing to pull galaxies. They're managing to pull. Not everyone has to pull a Sunder. You just need 1 or 2 people per platoon, 4 people per platoon to pull a Sunder. It's not the same as a max crash. A max crash, you can be starved of resources, and I'm sure that they can't throw grenades or lay down mines or do any of that stuff to stop vehicles anymore. But I think that is the play, and this is not just an indictment of Briggs in this match.
Yeah, but look at it. It's a 50-50 fight. But look at this. The Vex Biologics is a 50-50 fight. And the infantry only of Emerald is, even with this Air Force for Briggs, is able to push up to the capture point and totally brush them off like they're absolutely nothing. And yes, they've got Air Force, and yes, that's maybe classified as a force multiplier and the ability to redeploy, and yes, maybe they've got mosquitoes firing out, but it's not the same as a Sunder on the capture point, or 2 Sunders, or 3 Sunders. That would have been huge, but it's not the case. So maybe this is, we need to talk to the people at the end.
Do you want to head over to the amp station and see if there's any possibility of Briggs getting back on that?
Okay.
I am over at SRP Hydroponics, which is a small force of Briggs trying to get this, and actually it might have just been a single infiltrator here. Yeah, it looks like it's just a single infiltrator. There's some...
well, the SCU is destroyed at Nom Amp Station. There's about 5 or 6 Sunders at the capture point, and they're actually manned. The guns are manned. This is not like AFK Sunders.
And look, there is at least a squad, perhaps 2 squads of Briggs, maybe, at last hold. There is... I'm trying to see where the rest of their population is.
No, they are trying to get it. And they're also getting the biolab, believe it or not.
Do you trade the biolab for the amp station?
No, but the problem is you can't save the amp station. You have to come in and then save the SU, which is the old spawn room building, which makes it quite awkward. You have to get the shield generators up. So, I mean, that's like a multi-pronged engineer drop to get the shields up, to get the SU drop, to then push into the capture point. It's tricky.
The SU is blown. And there are some Sunders for Emerald underneath.
Yeah, so the thing is that the best way to do it is you need to either Valkyrie drop or Gal drop on the respective generators, get them repaired, and then probably ignore the Sunders and come in from the roof entrance down to the capture point. If you really wanted to save it, that's probably the only way to doing it, but that itself is difficult because the flight time, there are no Gals, it has to be ESFs. What ESF flight terminals you've got? Haid Skydock, and that's about it. The tech plant's too hard to get to the air terminals.
So the Biolab was captured by Briggs. They managed to take down the SCU and take this. And I think from Emerald's perspective, they said we don't really care about the Biolab. We can get it later. We want the amp station.
Yeah, but it did push the territory back to 65. So 24 minutes to go, and Briggs is tenaciously fighting back as many bases. They don't want to give Emerald a new record. So this 70% is being elusive. Is there enough time for it? Absolutely. Absolutely, there's plenty of time for this 70% hype. But can it happen? Because the Nom Amp Station is going to go through, and that's going to cause another territory. What else is going on? Is there any other territories that Emerald is going for them at the moment? No. They're making the save in Kessel's Crossing. Maybe they go for Chak Fusion. They need to make a save on... Oh, Awful Pit's going on right now. Briggs is making a push, but I don't see how they can take it in theory. This is such a horrendous base to try and actually capture.
Has there really been a fight at all at Nom Amp Station? I mean, I saw the small squad trying to repair the SCU. I think this has just been, for all intents and purposes, a ghost cap.
Yeah, I'm liking the Battle Sunder that they've got at the capture point on Awful Pit, but Raven Max with AV is just absolutely destroy this. The Sunder needs to move. It can't just stay stationary.
30 seconds remaining on Nom Amp Station. There is some air from Briggs that is poking in, trying to...
No, it's forlorn base. It's just too hard to take. You've allowed them to push up. Even just like 1 or 2 infiltrators on Hatchery Air Station being a nuisance, when you lost it, you shouldn't have lost it in the first place, but when that you have, to prevent the non-marsh compound, the non-marsh compound leading into Nom Amp Station, that also has to be defended by a couple of guys, or because that was a ghost cap for the first 2 minutes of his existence.
4 seconds.
Ooh, Moss Ridge Command Center. That's another one coming on. Let's go check that one out after Nom.
And TIW takes Nom Amp Station, and if there was a fight here, I certainly missed it.
Okay, so Moss Ridge... Oh, it's already flipping. Already? Really? No, okay, so... Oh, thank you! Battle Sunder! There is a Battle Sunder for Emerald... Sorry, for Briggs on the capture point inside the command center. That's fantastic. I really like this.
2 lightnings as well?
No, the lightnings are outside, preventing reinforcements coming. I suppose that's fair enough if you're going to do that. It's a bit light on infantry, but the fact is this multiplier of the Twin Fury blockade armor Sunder is really, really good. That is going to give them options. Now the thing is, you have to pay attention because they're going to die because they're standing by the positioning of the Sunder is also important because you can actually drive the Sunder onto this capture point area and you can avoid direct line of sight with the doorways. Oh man, there's a huge number of maxes and infantry coming in. You can't allow the Sunder to be seen by line of sight of the door so you can get free Raven and rocket shots in.
Yeah.
And ultimately they were just outpopped. Yeah, I mean, look at that, 65% out pop. Sunders can only do so much, but it could have bought you a little bit of time.
I think, you know, if Briggs is going to let things like Nom Amp Station fall, and I assume they're letting Nom Barracks fall.
Oh, okay, so
start saying, where are you defending?
Yeah, so Vex Biologics, again, you've got 12 people. I'm going to go check that and have a critique of it. But look, the Nom Forward Barracks and the Nom Ravine Overpass, those two bases are what it takes to tie the record. And they're not being contested now by any great numbers. And it's to be seen whether or not Briggs really values that type of base defense, because it's so far out of their front line now. I mean, they really are kind of behind enemy line bases. The infiltrator's probably at Chak Fusion Lab ticking that down because it's such small numbers, being a nuisance. And you'll probably see the same redeployment in of the last couple of guys as that happened last time with like a Valkyrie or whatnot.
Emerald here at the Awful Pit is getting Asunder in position to start spewing people directly onto the point. I'm just waiting for it to deploy, and then this is probably going to...
Okay, so... oh god, not again. Alright, I'm gonna shut up about this base, but the same attacking force, small squad, one squad is at Vex Biologics. They've got a Galaxy, they've got a Valkyrie, they've got a Mosquito. Do they have anything else? No. Couple of infantry. What's going to happen at this base, guys? 2 minutes time, you're gonna have an infantry redeploy. It's just gonna push them off. Why waste your time here if you're not gonna do it properly?
I have to say, I'm sure that the Briggs guys are getting tired of the multiple dingo 8my insert here jokes that I keep on seeing in Yell chat. I'm surprised at the cleanliness of some of the stuff I'm seeing in Emerald, and
it's smack talking, isn't it?
Maybe I'm not noticing the truly terrible stuff, but I've seen probably 15 different versions of the dingo 8my.
Oh man, Chak Fusion, check it out. Down to 2 minutes 30. That's 90 seconds of free cap. No one's going there. That'll probably be saved around the 1 minute marker, probably. But then all that's going to happen is that Emerald's going to redeploy people on, and then they've got a link to the tech plant. Not necessarily they'll go for it. Although, Nom Ravine Overpass, you checking that base out?
No, I was actually heading...
Nom Barracks has been stabilised. It's a 50-50 fight, and they're making a save. Nom Ravine Overpass is the one that's actually got a generator preventing captures. Oh, tell a lie. Vex Biologics, 60 seconds to go. I'm surprised that Emerald hasn't actually come here yet. Maybe they're focused too much on the other bases around the map. And
oh, this is the bridge one. Yeah. Okay, I came at it from a different angle.
Yeah, so
there's a decent point hold in this powerhouse building here.
It looks like they've actually got it. The timer's ticking down in the wrong direction now for the Emerald. Did no one? Okay, I guess Vex Bio's going to go through.
Looking at it now. Okay, I can head over there. Nom Ravine looks like it is saved for the moment. They have not repaired the gen. I'm not entirely sure why not.
Oh, tell me that you've not lost the space capture with so soon to go.
I'm heading over there. Did I already miss it?
No, Vex Bio's going to go through. 25 seconds to go. The fact is that Emerald's aware of what's going on. But I think the timer, even for them now, is too short. They've got some extra mosquito reinforcements for Briggs, so this should...
Finally some maxes for Briggs up on the point, which is definitely going to help them. 5 seconds. I think finally they're going to get
they're going to get it, and there's going to be the game. Hooray!
Well, I mean, it clears up that nice, huge hole in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's true. But oh my god, Chak Fusion. Look how many people got dumped on Chak Fusion. They sent 2 squads to save it, and it's not actually doing any difference. I'm going to warp over there if I can get there quickly enough.
And the biolab is going again. I'm going to go see if they're getting the SCU down on that.
You are in a restricted area.
Okay, so Chak Fusion was saved, but it did involve quite a large committal of forces. It looks like the Emerald guys did redeploy maybe about a squad there, but Briggs sent like 2 squads, if not more. Construction at Beta has been saved. Awful Pit has been saved by Emerald. Looks like Nom Ravine is...
All 3 points are going, and
where are you?
They're going to try and get the SCU. I'm at the Akan Biolab.
Oh, I'm going to go check Nom Barracks, because it's got 60 seconds to go until Emerald gets it.
Okay.
Yep, they got the oh man, yeah, I remember this. It's a capture point on the small bridge over the kind of walkway.
Mm-hmm.
There's one. Okay, 1 Emerald. Medic heavy, couple of guys. Wow, that's a lot of EMPs. Okay, so Emerald making another save at non-barracks. Back and forth. These are such out-of-the-way bases. But they are making saves. Well, how's the biolab? That seems like a big fight that's going on.
Briggs is slowly trying to push onto A. I don't think they've managed to get in there yet. I might be wrong. Nope, they have not managed to get into A yet. The SCU is not vulnerable yet, but it will be fairly shortly. Trying to see if they're going through the swamp. I guess they're slowly pushing through the swamp. This is it almost feels more like a live biolab fight. You know, Briggs is certainly here. They're just very methodically trying to push to a point. They need to get a little bit faster here. It's down to under 50 seconds. They have the population. I mean, Briggs just needs to kind of
steamroll 1 point, yeah, right? Because normally what happens is you just steamroll a point, then go to the next point and the next point, and one after each other. 30 seconds to go. What is going on?
The
47% population. Well, the FCU is compromised, but the fact is the base had been captured well before. Are they anywhere near C? Because C seems to be the easiest base to go point for.
They were not in the
the points in this biolab. C and B are right next to each other. Oh man, that's horrendous because that totally favors the attackers normally. The run time from the spawn room is huge.
No, they're not there. Jeez.
Because the Bravo and Charlie capture point with the SU generators, that's normally the best points to hold. Putting 2 points there means that it's actually a significantly easier base to defend. Wow, okay, so this biolab is actually pretty hard to defend. 46. Still 50-50 fights. Hypothetically speaking, with maxes, and depends if they have the resources or not, you got a lot of aircraft outside. I don't know what they're doing. But the biolab falls again for the 3rd time, and now finally goes into the hands of Emerald. So they are up to 67%. They're teetering on the edge with 14 minutes to go. It looks like there's a huge fight going on at Genesis terraforming plant, but not necessarily going anywhere. And it looks like Briggs is counterattacking at Moss Ridge Command Center, and perhaps Awful Pit. Oh wow, 96 plus at forward barracks as well. Let's check that one out. Yep, they got the capture point at non-forward barracks. You've even got a you got a battle thunder on the point, or close enough to it.
Is a minute left. Briggs is right here at A. They have not managed to clear them off. They're at the door by the large stairs of the powerhouse building. They're finally hopping down. This will just slow it down. They're also getting C at the same time. I think this is just one of those things where they just waited a very long time to come back here, and they will have to basically defend it for a long time.
Well, Emerald's put a very large kind of force committal into non-forward barracks, and it's going to pay off because they've got about 60 seconds to go. They've still got plenty of maxes and vehicles kind of defending the capture point.
Heading there now.
So, Vano is with me, do not falter. This guy thinks I can capture this base.
Yes, I do love playing the third faction and them egging you
in
on.
A base that you have no link to, where you're grotesquely outpopped 100 to 1. They're watching all the teleporters, they're watching all the entrances, they've got the double building locked down.
This is now a spawn camp here.
But you got to see the numbers. It's 96 plus and 63%. You simply can't fight those numbers unless you send your own huge numbers in. And Briggs has their other priorities, going for other bases.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, you know, if you're worried about this as a Briggs force commander, you worried about something that's cut off. I would personally, if you're not talking about winning, I'd rather capture back Kessels, capture back Awful Pit, work to get something like the Biolab back or their tech plant back, or you know, take some really meaty bases here. That something that's cut off. I'm probably not that concerned about at this point. Kessels looks like it is being capped by. In this case, is actually a ghost cap by Briggs. They don't have anyone there right now, so we'll see if.
Well, they're up to 68. So they're one base away. They're not going to get beta. Kessels is actually taken down from a ghost cap. Awful Pit, small numbers, but that's being saved. Genesis terraforming. I don't actually see any bases that Emerald is going for. Now, the fact is they may try and apply pressure to non-ravine overpass again. But the fact is, another interesting thing is, look over to the east. Moonlight Foundry, Nettlemar Gardens, Ziggurat, those are bases that can be pushed. And with 11 minutes to go, it is another option for a safe base, because Moonlight Foundry is actually a base that you can easily get a lot of Sunders in, onto the base and around and all that kind of stuff.
Moss Ridge Command Center has a decent Briggs force on it, mostly infantry, a couple of maxes. They have some Sunders here, but they have not managed to get them onto the point. And as I speak right now, Emerald is pushing onto the point with their own maxes, clearing this off. They managed to get up onto those balconies and just fire down into the exposed Emerald that are down on the point. This is a large but even population fight. This is at least, 3 platoons, maybe 4 platoons facing each other here. When you have that many people, you would like to see platoon leaders coordinating with each other. Hey, my platoon's going to be on the point. Use your platoon to get Sunders up on the point, or use your platoon to get some more air and hammer them as they're coming out.
Yeah, it depends how they have the command structure between the force leads and the platoon leads. Or whether or not there's a close level of communication, because last game against Cobalt Miller, there was chat in the interview channel that the communication between the PLs and the force command broke down for Cobalt, where it was fairly tight for the Miller forces. Now, I'd imagine both teams here today have a fairly good command structure, but we'll ask them later when we get to round 2. I'm currently just looking at the map while you're whipping around. I mean, we've got 50-50 fights roughly going into construction site beta, although the NC's set up there, so that may be worth a look. Awful Pit is ticking down with 1:20. That's probably more interesting. Go check that one out. Awful Pit is just, well, it's in the name. It's awful to take.
At construction site beta, you have Emerald, which is on the point. I thought I saw a Sunder that was maybe trying to come up. Maybe it died. I don't know.
Oh, twin Battle Sunders this time at Awful Pit, making really good use, rotating around and not staying still. They've got population? No, it's 48%, so they are actually outpopped. Briggs has been outpopped. Emerald is redeploying in. Now, what can they do? Going to be a max/infantry push. Here they come, towards the capture point. I'm not seeing the Sunders interdicting them. I don't really see that much infantry for Briggs.
Briggs is pulling some vehicles, lightnings and such. I think they're out trying to maybe kill a Sunder, they believe is here. The thing is that's not really how... yeah, they're driving lightnings around to pop a spawn Sunder that I'm not sure is actually there for Emerald.
So, Emerald... Oh man, this is a horrendous capture point. This is like a tiny little building in the middle of nowhere, and there's so many explosives going off.
Where are you? You're at Awful Pit.
Yeah, I'm at Awful Pit. Cap point. Because of the spawn Sunders and because of the squad Sunders, Briggs still has a shot at taking this. It's absolutely brutal.
This was absolutely one of my favorite bases to fight at when Hossin came out. There's just so much chaos. There's so many ways to get around people. There's so many ways to...
Emerald's bringing their own battle Sunder on the capture point, and looks like their own Sunder's dead. Yeah, this is a safe now from Emerald. I don't see Briggs getting this back.
There are so many different ways to flank your opponent, to chuck a grenade into a grouped up pile of people behind a tree. It's really difficult to get a combined front that will allow you to hold on to that point if you have defenders that know what they're doing.
Okay, so speaking of the devil, Moonlight Foundry was ticking down, but isn't anymore. I think... Oh wait, no, sorry, tell a lie. I think NC still has a point on it. Yeah, they're still ticking it down. That might be worth a look at squad waypoint. Genesis terraforming plant was 3 minutes up to 5 minutes. Looks like the tier is actually getting some of the points back. Bravata PMC is ticking down, but with 7 minutes to go, you need all 3 points for that to continue. So we are on 68. Okay, construction site beta. There's the one to go to because that is really close. Looks like Emerald might be able to tie the record here if they get the space in the next 30 seconds.
30 seconds. And God, just look at where the...
Oh, Sunder, Marauder Sunder is... God, I can't even say the word. Harasser. They're in. Yes, they've got it saved.
Got in. They had enough other vehicles, but if you look at all those other vehicles just parked down there,
they've certainly got enough population yet. All the vehicles in the back or on the ground floor, they don't mean anything, but getting them up top there, that was important. Norm Ravine Overpass, that's the next one, because look at the number of people there.
it wasn't even that the Marauder harasser killed that many people. It's that he was leading the charge. Look how many people followed in after him after he pushed into that door.
Oh, it's the confidence to push in, isn't it? So squad waypoint, right? This is a base where you can repair the... Okay, deployed Sunder is actually watching over. Although no one's defending the generator is... Oh, yes. They've got... So, the generator that defends, the the capture point is being defended by a Scaramax with a lot of mines.
Oh yeah, I see the mines now.
Yeah. So and it's like a platoon plus. This will tie the record if they get non-ravine overpass.
I enjoy the Scatmax who's...
Oh, check Awful Pit out. They've gone straight back to Awful Pit. It's almost a base trade here at the moment.
Playing ping pong.
It's like who's going to flinch first, because Ravine Pass is 150, Awful Pit is 1 minute, two giant Zergs right next to each other, but not necessarily fighting each other. It's live server. Oh, and the other one is Bunker J993. That's 2.5 minutes to go. Genesis Terraforming isn't really going to happen. Mulak Foundry might happen with 2 minutes to go. There's a lot of bases under contention right now. So this Shack Fusion Lab is ticked down just in enough time to also potentially come into contention.
Here's what I'm most interested in. So it looks, at the moment, 30 seconds left, like Briggs is going to grab the Awful Pit. This is a base that you can redeploy away from, and you don't have to repair anything immediately. They can hop immediately over to non-ravine overpass and save it. And will they hop over that fast?
You can take the teleporter and run from the teleporter building in, but you need to be redeploying like right now. Or they can Galaxy redeploy, but that's going to be impressive. I'd imagine Emerald to have a lot of people in that capture point.
If you're confident with 6 seconds remaining, you've already given the order for everyone to redeploy and to be ready to spawn into that next base.
But we're focusing currently here on the west. I mean, what's going on in the center and the east? Okay, so the Galaxies are actually flying. They are flying here.
Remaining in the match now, 4 minutes.
Awful Pit is captured by Briggs. That definitely helps them try and stop long. It's 1:20 on Bunker J993. What is it left on the other one? And they're right at the door here at Bunker as well.
I don't think there's enough time. Non-Ravine's got 20 seconds to go, and there's too many infantry to maxes, and there's not enough time. I don't think the Briggs forces acted quickly enough. Oh my god, there's so many people in this capture building that can't be hit by air. They're going to get the base. It's just not enough. So they're going to go back up to 68%. Bunker looks like it's been saved. Oh, but down the south, Mulek Foundry.
A new conglomerate has taken the
20
facility.
seconds.
I'm seeing Harasser. I'm waiting for everything to load. 11 seconds to go. That was a Terran Harasser for Briggs. Briggs is running onto the point. Oh, they're going to get it in the last, 5 seconds. Okay, so that is another very important save. They're doing their absolute best to prevent Emerald from getting a runaway. Emerald is back on Bunker J993. We're going to get condensed to a couple of bases here. In fact, I think Bunker J993 is the only base. Bunker and Foundry are the only two bases I think that can go through now. Are they back at construction site Beta? They are, and they are just enough time to save Beta. So there are actually a couple of bases that could go through here. So Emerald can still pull this off.
Construction site.
I'm hinted Bunker now.
Yeah. The elusive 70%.
It's two bases, and it's totally plausible. Totally plausible they can pull this off. It's getting really, really desperate now in the last 2 minutes of this base. Bunker J993, Emerald's got a lot of... I can see the max forces on the double doors. They caught a huge number of people in this room. It's absolute grenade fodder. If you can get grenade bandolier and throw nades in with any resources that you got left over, it's just going to get a lot of hits.
There is a relatively small force here at construction site Beta for Emerald. This is probably only maybe 3 squads, 2 squads.
Oh, but look, they've redeployed in. They've got 67% now, so they should be able to push back in at construction site Beta.
And they have a spawn... Well, they had a spawn center in the back. I think that just got blown up, unfortunately. There are Galaxies here. They are trying to push people in. Briggs is at the doors with under a minute.
I don't think Briggs is going to make a safe in Bunker. I mean, they're actually throwing Galaxies at Briggs on infantry.
Harasser back in. That Marauder Harasser is back at construction site Beta. leading his forces in. Again, it's not so much the kills that he's getting, it's the morale of being able to push him through that door. So construction site beta, I would say,
I'm looking at J993 has at least 20 maxes in the capture room. At least 20 maxes. And they finally get it. That takes them up to 69. They are now tying the record. And I think with 60 seconds to go, they're just going to miss out. They're just going to miss out. Construction site beta's been saved too far. Kessel's crossing is not enough time. No one's going to get any other bases. Oh, they've tied it. Oh well, there you go. We're going to have to... Shame on Force Commander's family. Have him commit Sudoku for not getting 70%.
Is it another Sudoku?
For not getting 70%, man. Why? What happened?
There is nothing else in contention.
No, there's nothing else in contention.
No, it's done.
Call it out when the timer's up then.
Yep. We'll freeze the map when the timer hits 0 anyway. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. End of match. End of match. Congratulations to Emerald for winning with 69% against Briggs' 30%. Can we please have the Force Commanders come to the interview channel? Thank you. Alright. No 70%.
So we'll go over some stats here while we're gathering people. We have the kills, which started off very, very even, and as the match progressed, just
start pulling away. Yeah.
It's by 2,000, or maybe a little bit less than 2,000 separation, 1,500, something like that. NC over the TR. As far as players, our number one player is ServerSmash NC370 with 223. And outfits, that would be the Tony Abbott Fan Club, TIW, followed by backs. Our weapons, we have the Anchor, followed by the Carve and the MSWR. And the Mosquito comes out ahead of the Reaver, 1,138 over there. And then you look at that Sunder stat right there, and I guarantee you, those Sunders were the ones that were on the points, just absolutely hammering doors. When you look at the...
Dude, Valkyrie's got 94 kills.
I want to offer a correction, guys. I said 69 earlier on. You're actually right, Farah. It is 68. So Emerald today have beaten the record for the most percentages.
Yeah, I was right, because Miller tied the 68 record when they played Cobalt. So there you go. So it is a new record, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, but it's still not 70%, which is the mythical Holy Grail.
So looking at the territory capture here, again, you have those pushes by Emerald early, and then kind of a lull. Briggs manages to hold them off for a little bit, another push, another hold, and then another push. And then this honestly was a long hold near the end. It was only at the very, very end that last...
Maximum pressure was applied to just get a base at all costs.
And I think I'm going to definitely bring this up, but I think it's kind of fitting that it was Bunker J993 that was the one that put Emerald over. If I am correct, that was an Emerald player who that was made in memorial of. So let me go ahead and set some things here.
Should we drop down and talk to our Force Commanders?
Yeah, I'm trying to turn everything off. What the heck?
We're at 253. At mid-match, we were at 283.
Yeah, I don't think Air Platoon ever had more than about 3.5.
Hey guys, how you all doing?
Pretty good. Really good, actually.
So, I guess the first thing that's going to be on chats in Twitch is, why no 70%? What happened?
I know, and my computer is already overheating because DC summer, and everyone's messaging me and it's trying to keep up, and yeah.
I was busy bailing out Roy. I'm just gonna throw him under the bus right now.
So,
please go ahead, Red.
Question is, the final base that you captured there to get to the 69% was Bunker J993, and if I'm correct, that was named in memorial for an Emerald player, correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of
To be fair, they're going for whatever base they could grab their hands on.
No, it was totally because J993.
Okay. Well,
some very specific questions here.
take it from the start then. So, I mean, the opening play for Emerald, when you looked at the map, did you see particular strengths? Did you know that you were just going to push super hard on the western front? I mean, what was your game plan?
Originally, it was definitely power platoons in the west, and then as we can get these soft, squishy bases around the con, we would definitely try and do so. We had a lot of air spawns, we had a lot of very rapid reactive people in the south to try and get that, so... Yeah, I guess the answer is yes, we did it. We did anticipate pushing the west super hard. Props mostly the leverage. Like, I would look over at the west and see a bunch of bases tick down to half as ghost caps, and the answer I kept getting was, it's leverage. Just a mental shrug through TS, it's leverage.
I want a special shout out to Pronam McLeese for being a ghost capping shitter. I'm very proud of him and what he was able to accomplish.
Construction Site Beta, was that him?
Was this Construction Site Beta?
He's in the TRW platoon with AC, so we kind of help each other out, but I want to say at least that Pronam's the guy who will call out this stuff, and he's the guy who takes the initiative and flips bases everywhere it's possible.
Yeah. That we were noticing that there were ghost caps for 2 minutes, and then you would come in with forces later, and it became a 2-minute base instead of a 4-minute base. What about you, Briggs guys? I mean, this is unfortunately your first defeat. Everyone's got to taste it. What was your game plan today, and where do you think it went wrong?
We essentially lost just about every 1-to-1 fight that Emerald had going. Their mobility was excellent. They were initiating ghost caps left and right, and while I was unfortunately watching the map disappearing in their favour pretty much the entire match, we got a few bits and pieces back, but it was nowhere near enough, as you saw. We were more or less unable to dedicate bodies even to stop ghost caps, because every fight we were at, even on a 1-to-1 basis, was pretty much getting trashed by you guys. You punched on exceptionally hard today. That was a really good job.
Following on from that, losing your 50-50 fights, do you think, moving on for Briggs, was it the map layouts? Did you do enough research about how to approach a base? Or is it maybe how you approach a fight? Because when Emerald, I think, attacks a base, there's no mercy. We will exploit whatever way we can to get the most benefit out of who we have there. So, case in point, they might have vehicles or sunders or whatnot on the point. Is this maybe something that Briggs is going to have to learn to do, or do you guys only kind of figure you already do this, but you didn't do it today on certain bases?
Generally speaking, like, you know how we fight, you've seen how we fight, we push the advantage as much as we can as well, get the Sunderers up wherever possible, maximum cheese, get the maxes in there, but on this occasion, Emerald are an exceptionally strong infantry server. One thing we noticed was a fairly distinct lack of air power Emerald had on the map. It gave them a lot more leverage on the ground for pushing hard infantry lines, and they took good advantage of that in the field today.
I will jokingly say, I'll actually half seriously say, that Emerald's Air Force is probably the best ground force out of all the servers.
Yeah, I think we re-secured the amp station 3 times.
Yeah, shout out to the pilots who managed to kind of redeploy as needed. You guys were definitely keeping an eye on the map.
Yeah,
that was something I certainly noticed with Emerald. You guys used your vehicles in very specific ways. Both amp station attacks, I mean, you just piled as many Sunders in there as you possibly can. Every base you had vehicles on the point, and certainly that snowballs by the end as you have more resources and Briggs is more on the back foot. But I just, was that something that you talked about server-wide? Is that just the way that the outfits play? Is that something you have to tell your guys to do it, or they just do it?
I mean, at least from the air, we had a lot of, thanks to the SOE hotfix again on DPG, we had a lot of kind of confusion, so our air was kind of doing everything. When they were on the ground, I was just throwing them around from base to base to basically act as a QRF type of squad and pull what they could. And I know that we re-secured the amp station 2 or 3 times, and I think that actually helped out a lot. We weren't able to help out in the air as much as I would usually like, but at the end of the day, I think it actually worked out better than I even hoped it would.
Briggs, what was the place that you were trying to get the most off the beginning? Obviously, everything kind of fell apart for you, but where was the area that you were most focused on, at least in the opening of the match?
As I sort of pull open my force map and take a look at what we're aiming at, the main bases that we primarily planned on having the most impact out of getting control of were Eastern Sub, Ixtab Power, Wainwright Armory, and Broken Vale, none of which went particularly well for us. Down in the east, Nettlemire Eastern, those guys got their battle targets taken care of quite efficiently, but we had a huge collapse central and west. Initially, we were looking at the Wainwright Armory and Edgewater area because that opens a lot of lines into our territory, which Emerald exploited quite well for starting fires and caps all over the place as the fight progressed. But we're hoping for generally, a loud TV. We're hoping to stabilise the area around the Ixtab Nason's Defiance region and make reasonable expansion around the flanks out the east and the west. Our eastern flank went quite well, but we collapsed heavily in the west, unfortunately.
And then, I saw about midway through the match, you made a big push for Nason's Defiance. I think you made a big push to secure the biolab area that was being pushed. Was there a moment in the middle of the match where you kind of threw out the battle plan and started moving people around to where they were needed, or was everyone pretty much staying in their lanes and trying to do what they could?
For the most part, we set it up by areas of responsibility. Like, if your area is under control, you've achieved what you needed to achieve there, get out and support someone else. As far as the battle plan goes, we tend not to go too deeply into a battle plan. Past experience has generally stated that plan's good for, 10 to 15 seconds before you're flying by the seat of your pants. Things turn to liquid almost instantly on the map. So we tend to keep it quite liquid. Have the guys work where they're needed to be, just keep an assessment of what's going on, then move troops. But in this case, Emerald just outmaneuvered us and took all the key one-to-ones that they needed to open up more lanes into our territory. It more or less put us on the back foot for the majority of the match. They did a really good job.
So, just briefly here, this is the first time that you guys have fought on this particular Hossin map. What were your feelings of this Hossin map as opposed to the other Hossin map? Certainly it's different battles. Nobody had to fight over Treehouse of Horrors or Hunter's Blind or whatever they're calling it this week. So was there another base that you guys felt like, man, we're just always going back there. We're always going back there.
Nason's Defiance was probably that one for us. Up in the north as well, the last hold and now Mam Station also provided that way. Nason's Defiance was quite brutal. It became a serious pop sink for us where if we abandoned it, we were more or less sacrificing territory straight off the bat, but in order to take it, we would have had to outpop it so badly we were depleting other fights. I don't know if it necessarily came down to any key piece of particular territory as opposed to just the way Emerald was playing in their overall battle strategy.
Emerald, what about you?
For us, at the beginning, it was Genesis terraforming, and throughout the match, Ixtab. As they pushed out from Genesis terraforming and Nevada PMC into Ixtab Water and Ixtab South and SRP and the like that whole region, it felt like we had to keep going back to reinforce.
Yeah, the guys in that did a really good job. They carried their weight extremely well today.
Yeah, that was, I think everyone had to turn in the Bravada Genesis wheel. But I think Negator is the one who gets most of the credit for that. I believe Negator was there most of the time.
So let me bring that up. You guys, Emerald did rotate where platoons were. You did not have set lanes. You were moving people around, or?
Yeah, I had people diving around as needed. I imagine I'll have that brought up to me tomorrow during the debrief. But yeah, I would move people around as I needed to.
And I'll let you speak in a moment, Negator. I keep on cutting you off. If I could get Briggs and Emerald to PM me on TeamSpeak the name and outfit tag of your force leader so we can put that in our records as well. Go ahead, Negator.
I was going to say that generally our platoons were in the same area, but they overlapped multiple times, mostly because of how the geography and the lanes are on this map. But generally speaking, each platoon stayed in a few thousand kilometer or meter area.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about specifically to this match or anything like that?
Did you guys have a full 48 air squad?
Yeah, we did.
Yes, we did in the air today.
Okay. Yeah, we were planning on having 54. I think we got up to like 36, maybe. It was awkward.
I was only watching for that one, but I noticed a lot of battle gals from Briggs. Was there a concerted effort to run like a squad of battle gals? Because they were really good at hugging each other throughout.
Oh yeah, I noticed that as well.
They actually
anti-air
drilled to fly in formation quite closely like that, and to be sort of like a mobile AA platform. It was something they practiced really hard and made sure they got right, and it seemed to have worked pretty well.
Yeah,
so you
I know
guys
there were
really
a couple
need,
times that we had that problem. Like, we couldn't push in because there were like 4 or 5 battle gals, and it was just a wall of walker fire, and none of our air could push in.
So we're gonna really not want to fight that when the battle gal repair feature comes out, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when the repair and ammo feature kicks in, and then you can, it's obviously subject to them balancing it, because I can only imagine there being 8 gals all with repair saying, "You what, mate?"
I mean,
Giant
to be
ball.
fair, it's been like a year and a half since they had that on test, so we've probably got a while before that happens.
Yeah. Well, I guess moving on then, questions. Briggs, you guys are playing Connery next. You guys feeling confident about that? Another American server?
We'll be alright. Connery and Emerald were actually probably the hardest 2 fights we've had in the ServerSmash so far. I suppose Connery being it's our first time at ServerSmash, so just getting through by the skin of our teeth against those guys. We've learned a lot since then, so I dare say things will be a bit better the second time round, but Connery would have polished their stuff up by then as well. Emerald was an exceptionally hard fight the first time around. We got over the top of you guys by an air collapse you guys had late game, and we managed to run Rampage after that. We maintained our superiority, I feel, this game as well, but your infantry was unreal today. That was really good work from you guys. Yeah, I'd say quietly confident against Connery for the next game. This is our first loss, so I'm going to be reporting back to my TeamSpeak to be lynched by my server shortly. So we'll be taking our lessons from this. That's exactly
and I guess for Emerald, guys, for Emerald, you are now playing a Miller. How are you feeling about Miller? I mean, everyone thinks Miller's the underdog, but I guess they did somewhat well against Cobalt. Are you looking forward to that? It is on Esamir.
Yep. I think Miller's going to be no pushover. They've done, I think, the Esamir map, I think, an internal thing before. We haven't seen the new Esamir, but I think we'll be confident, but we're going to take Miller very, very, very seriously.
And I happen to be looking at our stats here. This is the ServerSmash record of 69%. It, however, in internal ServerSmashes, you're gonna be really hard pressed to beat that. Cobalt beat itself by 93% to 3 one time. So that record is gonna stand for a while.
Yeah, Cobalt really dunked on Cobalt that day.
Cobalt got wrecked.
So
it's easy. AOD versus Emerald, right?
Yeah, there you go. Are we allowed to stack in internal scrims?
You can do whatever you want in internal scrims. It's your own internal scrim.
Yeah, I think that was Cobalt's problem, is that they stacked against themselves and then wondered what happened.
Anyway, enough about Cobalt. So I guess we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. I believe next week, we'll show this in the pre-show. It will be Cobalt Connery, yes?
Yes, it is. Cobalt Connery is the next one on May 9th. And so yeah, thank you guys for joining us and playing. And Farrah, if you want to hop up on channel.
Yep, cool. Well, we'll see you guys later. Was there any kind of final words you guys want to say to the stream, or any of your supporters, just so it's recorded in perpetuity?
Just
thank you
giant shout out to the platoon leads. The platoon leads are awesome.
Great job to Briggs there. I know even with the lock-ons, our guys, most of them had a lot of fun, so thanks for another good fight in the air.
Yeah. Congratulations to you guys as well. Our dream run had to end eventually, and don't feel bad about it being to you guys, because that was a pretty stellar infantry performance. Your guys were excellent on the ground today. That was pretty much like trying to fight the tide with a paper cup. That was fairly serious.
Hey, Red. So, moving forward in the post-game, this was ServerSmash 37. The final score was Emerald with 69, Briggs with 30.